to win your fantasy sports leagues? Well, we're here to help. Welcome to the Fantasy Factor, your guide to victory in fantasy sports. I'm your host, Sonny Goldbaum, and today we bring you top fantasy headlines from the NBA, NHL, and MLB. Let's jump right into fantasy basketball. Fantasy Factor starts right now.
My top star of the week is Andre Drummond. Only his second season, he's putting up monster numbers: 13 rebounds, 13 points a game, and 2 blocks. What a game last night. He had 16 points, 22 rebounds, 2 blocks versus Charlotte Bobcats. He's had a double-double in 7 of his last 8 games, and he is getting more and more involved in the offense. Really liking the connection between him and Jennings. This weekend, he was the MVP of the Rising Star Games. He had 30 points and 25 rebounds. Look for him to continue to have a monster second half of the year. Let's go to Justin with the dud of the week.
My top dud of the week is Marc Gasol, former All-Star and reigning Defensive Player of the Year. And this week, he is our dud of the week. Gasol has failed to reach double-digit scoring in his last 4 of 5 games, along with failing to reach double-digit rebounds as well in his last 5 games total. Marc Gasol is still getting back from that knee injury that he did suffer before the All-Star break. And he is also on a playing time restriction, so that recovery will take a little bit of time. But the healthier he gets, the better. So for now, even though he is our dud of the week, don't lose faith on Marc Gasol.
All right, and now we are going to send it over to our very own Jordan Dietrich, who's got our very latest in NBA fantasy. Jordan, what's going on?
Well, for my player of the week, I'm going with the man who was so hot, he just gave himself a nickname. That's right, the servant, Thunder's Kevin Durant. Over his past 5 games, including the All-Star game, Durant has scored a ridiculous 37.4 points per game, 9.4 rebounds, and 7.2 assists, and shooting just under 50% of the field. Seems like in the light of Kobe being injured, Melo's ordeal in New York, and King James' constant question about his future, Durant is finally getting the recognition he deserves. Now, we're going to break down 2 point guards in this time. Now, the 2 point guards who I'm going to go with is Sixers point guard Michael Carter-Williams and Brandon Jennings. For the first, Michael Carter-Williams, he's putting up ridiculous numbers. 19.3 points per game and 4 rebounds, but just averaging 4.6 turnovers a game. Look for Williams to improve on these turnovers and to continue to stay hot. For my second player, I'm going to go with the man who desperately needed the All-Star break, Pistons point guard Brandon Jennings. Before the All-Star break, Jennings put up a measly 9 points a game and 5 assists, when he averages for the season 17.7 points per game and 8 assists. Look for the Compton prodigy to have a stellar second half of the season, as his Pistons are right in the playoff hunt. Guys, my question to you is, who would you rather have on your team right now? The talented rookie Michael Carter-Williams or the stud three-point shooter Brandon Jennings?
All right, so now we're back here at the desk. You guys heard the question from Jordan. I know that each of you feel differently on this subject. Let's start over with Ryan.
I got to go with the Cuse alum, MCW. He's averaging 17 points a game, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. What numbers? You got to look at this. LeBron James, his rookie season, 21 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. Very similar. You can't complain about that.
You know, I can't complain about this, though. The almost 5 turnovers Michael Carter-Williams has per game, Brandon Jennings is not even close to that. The guy's averaging 23 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists in his last 5 games. This guy's coming hot off the All-Star break. He's got a new team. They're starting to gel better. They got a lot of new things coming together.
Hold up. MCW plays for a bad team, meaning fantasy-wise, he's going to get garbage time. He's going to get his minutes. He's going to get time. Usually guys on a bad team, they're racking up triple-doubles. They're putting up big numbers. So, Justin, I'm disagreeing with you. Jennings is on a winning team. He has a shorter leash. I just really don't like his fantasy impact on my team.
I got to love it, though. Brandon Jennings, they got a young team. They got Andre Drummond, Greg Monroe. They have Josh Smith, all guys that can get out, run in transition on the floor. Those are guys you're going to want on your team. They're quick in transition. Brandon Jennings is a guy who I would want to keep on that fast break. He's going to produce you a lot of points and get you a lot of assists.
All right, well, Marcus Thornton to the Nets, and Reggie Evans and Jason Terry to the Sacramento Kings. So who wins this one fantasy-wise?
Fantasy-wise, I got to give it to the Sacramento Kings for pulling together Reggie Evans. Reggie Evans is a guy who's you're gonna want to have on your team right now. The depth for the big guys on the Sacramento Kings are short. They don't have that many. They need bigger guys. Reggie Evans is a guy who's going to come in, get you rebounds, get you hustle stats. Those are the ones you want to look for.
I'm liking Marcus Thornton. He's had some big years in New Orleans. He's a great player. He's had a few bad seasons in Sacramento, but maybe playing for Jason Kidd's offense will open him up a little, give him a little bit more shots. I really like Thornton in this trade.
All right. Well, for now, we are going to send it to a break, but when we come back, we're going to have some more fantasy basketball action for you here on the Fantasy Factor. Stay tuned for more. We'll be right back.
I'm lucky. Let me help you with that. I get to do something I love. It has nothing to do with touchdowns or titles.
Everybody bring it in.
I get to play a part in the life of someone just starting out.
How many of you think homework is just as important as teamwork?
I help keep kids in school,
Good.
and that's the name of the game.
My name is LaDainian Thomason. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United.
The Hollywood View is back with a brand new season and a brand new look. Join me for nonstop Hollywood coverage news right here on WTOP 10 every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m.
Do you like this top? It's so gay. Really? Yeah, it's totally gay.
You know, you really shouldn't say that.
Say what?
Well, say that something's gay when you mean it's bad. It's insulting. What if every time something was bad, everybody said, oh, that's so girl wearing a skirt as a top?
Oh, you are.
Those are cute jeans, though. When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off.
Back to this debut episode of the Fantasy Factor. We're excited to have you tuned in, joining us on this historic night here in the WTOP studios. In this next installment of the NBA, let's talk about the free agent pool. Jordan Dietrich has our very latest on players to add and drop.
Well, we got two stud players to look out for right now that you might have passed on for the All-Star break, but you should pick them up right now. My first player is point guard Randy Foye. With Lawson out, look for Foye to take over the point guard position and his 11.3 points per game and 3.0 assists per game to greatly increase. Another possible breakout player is Jazz rookie, you know all about him, from Michigan, Trey Burke. Trey Burke seems to be struggling as a rookie though, but the All-Star break could have ignited his potential to kickstart his career. For my two players to drop, if you haven't already dropped Bucks shooting guard O.J. Mayo, now is the time to do so. The guy simply hasn't played in his last 10 straight games, calling for concern if Mayo can come back from his illness 100% NBA ready. This player might come off as a little surprising, but small forward Luol Deng is struggling right now since he's been traded to Cleveland Cavaliers. Though the Cavaliers are hot, Deng is not. 12.4 points per game, 5.2 rebounds a game is just not the numbers you expect out of Deng. And that's it for this week's fantasy add and drop pool, and I'll be back soon with some Olympic hockey talks. But first, hey Justin and Ryan, who would you guys start and sit this upcoming week?
All right, well, you heard the question. What do you guys got?
Well, for who start this week, it's got to be Trevor Ariza. He's got to be in your starting lineup for the Washington Wizards. The Wizards are in the playoff picture finally, and that's no surprise because of John Wall and Bradley Beal had something to do with it. But don't be too quick to look past swingman Trevor Ariza. With the passing ability and John Wall, from the passing ability of John Wall and the three-point shooting ability of Bradley Beal, That's going to open up the court and open up the lanes for Trevor Ariza to start driving and cutting. And with Beal being that ability of a shooter, it's going to keep the defenders honest and make him stay on the outside. And he's averaging 20 points and 11 rebounds in his last 2 games with the Wizards. And they also have 4 more games coming up this week. So Trevor Ariza is a player that all owners must have in their starting lineups.
Now with who to sit this week, I'm going with Russell Westbrook. He hasn't been playing in a while. He's first time back, but he's coming back against the defending champions LeBron James and Miami Heat. Maybe a little rusty coming back. I'm pretty sure with him out for a while, he's got to ease into it, get into it. He's gonna be hesitant at first, but with Durant playing the way he is, you got to ease him back in. Wait for him to get back into a few games, and he'll be back in the form.
All right, how about Dark Horse Player of the Week? Justin, who do you got for us?
All right, so this is the Dark Horse segment where I'll tell you all about players that have been playing great as of recently and are owned on not many fantasy teams. This week's Dark Horse is Nate Walters of the Milwaukee Bucks. Nate Walters is owned in just 2.3% of fantasy leagues. That should be changed very soon because he's been filling up the stat sheets in his last 2 games, almost posting triple-doubles in both. On February 12th, Walters burned the Pelicans for 14 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds, also grabbing 2 steals and a board and a block. Then 6 games later, Walters took to the floor in Orlando and had 15 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds. Keep Nate Walters on your radar.
This is the 6-man segment where I decide who I will be picking. The player you should own this week and start is Patty Mills. Look for him to start getting a lot more time. Tony Parker's out, could be out for an extended period of time. Next guy in line is Patty Mills from Australia. He's on only 16% in leagues, would be an absolute steal. Tuesday night, he had 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists in the win over the Clippers. Look for him to get the start while Parker's out and continue to keep it going.
All right, what effect will the trade deadline have on fantasy value? Let's take a look with our very own Jordan Dietrich for some input on that. Jordan, what do you got?
Well, first question, what will it take for any NBA team to acquire Harrison Barnes? That's one question that we have to ask. For my second one, who is going to pick up Pau Gasol if the Lakers are truly going to trade him? Thirdly, is the Nuggets point guard Andre Miller destined to become a Timberwolf? And fourth, standing at 6th place in the Eastern Conference, will the 76ers make a move on Jeff Teague? So, those are my questions right now, guys. Do whatever you want with them. I'll send it back to the desk.
All right, guys, I got to ask real quick. Jeff Teague or Kyle Lowry?
Going with Jeff Teague, having a career year, 15 points a game, 7 assists. Look at him attacking the rim. I really love his game this season.
Justin?
I got to go with Kyle Lowry. I think he has been one of the best point guards for fantasy basketball this year. I think he's actually ranked 3rd among point guards so far. He's averaging 17 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. 5 rebounds is big for a point guard. The more rebounds they can fill up, the better for your team.
All right, guys, this week Justin is going to get the win, so we will see him later on in the lightning round at the end of the program. That's going to do it for right now. Stay tuned with us. We'll be back with Fantasy NHL. Brian Shinaki and Matt Moran are going to break it all down for you. Stay tuned. We'll be right back here on the Fantasy Factor.
Hey, Sarah.
Oh my gosh, he's so cute. How do you know him?
Come on, Donovan, do it like I taught you. Love the new tattoo, Sarah. Let's go!
Dude, what? Dude, that's Sarah. The girl in the pink shirt. That's the girl I was telling you about.
Oh, that's Sarah?
Theater 2 on your left. Hey, Sarah. What color underwear today?
Hey, Sarah. So when are you going to post something new?
Anything you post online, anyone can see. Family, friends.
See you later, Sarah.
Even not so friendly people. Think before you post.
on the Fantasy Factor. Now that we've given you front headlines in the NBA, let's talk about some fantasy hockey. Your top headlines start right now. Brian, what do you got for us?
Well, my guy's Phil Kessel, 4th best in the NHL in points. He brought his hot streak from the NHL onto the big ice in Sochi. 4 goals, 7 points in just 3 games for the Americans.
And for my top disappointment at the moment, top player to hate, scary day for John Tavares owners, as he has been listed out for the rest of the Olympics with a leg injury. His owners are hoping that he will be able to ready to go next week, as with being the number 3 in points in the NHL, he's a huge fantasy factor.
All right, so now we're going to send it over to the green screen with our very own Jordan Dietrich, who is going to talk about some Olympic hockey in Sochi and how that is affecting players' fantasy value. Jordan, what do you got?
Well, welcome back to the green screen. Now let's take a time to look at some Olympic hockey. To start out, how about the Russians losing to Finland 3-1 this morning? Such enormous expectations at home in Sochi 2014. And that team showed its hometown no love at all. Now let's begin with 2 players who stood out during Sochi so far. I got USA's TJ Oshie and Sweden's Henrik Lundqvist. For all you Americans who have been watching Sochi, you all know about TJ Oshie. The Blue Star went 4 for 6 in a shootout against Russia and became the conversation starter at every lunch table last Saturday. And for his counterpart, King Henry, he seems to embrace the yellow and blue crown jersey more than any Swedish player. Lundqvist stopped all 19 shots against Slovenia for a 5-0 win, and his second shutout of the Olympics, shutting out his opponents is difficult, really difficult. And when the world is watching, King Henry just simply performs. He is protecting the twine to a key. Now, that's pretty much it for right now, so I'm going to send it back to the news desk, but keep watching Sochi Olympics because it's pretty awesome right now.
All right, well, 2 NHL players who have fared well in the Olympics thus far would have to be Jonathan Quick and Hiller as well. These 2 guys have really just done everything that they possibly can do to do great. So fantasy owners have a lot to look forward to. Obviously, one of them plays for the Anaheim Ducks, the other for the LA Kings. In 25 wins, .907 save percentage, and a 2.07 goals against average. So in the 2 games that Hiller has played, he's recorded 2 shutouts for his home country of Switzerland, and the team is really counting on him to be a key factor in their further success in the tournament. And obviously, I mentioned Jonathan Quick, goaltender for the LA Kings. You know, Quick has struggled. He really did going into the break. He only had 2 wins in his previous 10 starts, translating to terrible fantasy numbers. But in his 2 games played thus far for the United States team, Quick has given up 4 goals and picked up a win in both of them. He was able to pick up that huge win in the shootout against the Russians on Saturday. So it's likely that Quick will continue to start for the U.S. for the remainder of the tournament. And if he can lead America to gold, it could definitely carry over to NHL play, where we could see his fantasy stock rise back up to where owners expect it to be at. So guys, you know, I bring it back to the desk. One of you has picked Quick, the other is going with Hiller. We'll start over with Matt.
You know, I got to go with Hiller. Like you said, those 2 shutouts, even though he is done this season, or at least done with the tournament, losing today, or losing yesterday for Switzerland, he was number 1 in goals against average, number 1 in save percentage. The guy was absolutely tremendous for his team this tournament. And going over to Anaheim, I see them just carrying over and playing very, very well.
Yeah, I got to agree with you on Jonas Hiller. He's been leading the Ducks. But how about Jonathan Quick? A guy not even expected to start for Team USA. All eyes were on Ryan Miller to start. He's had a couple periods of action so far, but the guy has been Jonathan Quick. As you mentioned earlier, that impressive shutout performance versus Pavel Datsyuk and Kovalchuk versus Team Russia, just absolutely amazing. I don't know if you can give Quick too much credit, though. I think the Americans are very stacked, especially on defense with Suter in front of that net. Anyone you got in net, Miller, anyone else is going to be doing good, but you got to give credit to Jonathan Quick.
But Brian, you know, like you said, Quick, he's still a lot to prove. You know, there still are 2 more games for that USA team. If they don't win gold, there could be a lot of disappointment with with Quick, and it could be carry over to maybe even seeing some bad play. So that's why I definitely think Hiller is definitely the safe bet. He played tremendously for Switzerland, really took it in places that you didn't really think that he'd be able to take them, and that's why he's definitely my guy who has the highest ceiling.
That's a good point.
I think Quick's the way better option than Hiller there. I'll tell you right now. The only reason he's playing the way you mentioned, he had a couple of games where he struggled. He was out for 2 months this season with an injury. Look at the two guys that came in and backed him up. Martin Jones, he was a star of the week 2 consecutive weeks. No one's even heard of this guy before those 2 weeks. The other guy, Ben Scrivens, which they just got a second-round pick for. Before Quick went out, Scrivens was worth a 4th or 5th round pick. Guy going in, it just shows you how great the Kings are, that they could just have anyone hop in net and have that success. That's why I like Quick.
All right, I'm going to give this one to Brian for this week, so you're going to appear in our lightning round at the conclusion of the program. But as for now, we are going to head to a quick break. When we come back, Seamus Lyman is going to break down the MLB fantasy perspective, full scope for you. You're not going to want to miss what's to come here on the Fantasy Factor, WTOP 10. We'll see you in a second.
I present to you Algebra 2. And finally, biology. Who among you will step up to their challenge?
Me.
Take on the tough classes now. You need them to prepare for college.
Hey, how's it going?
Sir, are you okay?
What? Oh, this? It's probably nothing. I'm sure it'll go away.
Go away? But, sir, that can't be good.
No, it's cool. Really.
Do you want a napkin or something?
Everything's fine. Thanks.
You wouldn't ignore this. So why ignore the signs of a stroke? At the first warning signs, call 911 immediately, because time lost is brain lost.
Every night before the show, me and the guys, we like to loosen up a little bit. Blue, 42, hike! Every now and then, Dan likes to take it a little too far. But hey, the show's all about competition, so we'll take it.
Stupid Dan with stupid football and stupid running.
Welcome back here on the Fantasy Factor. We're now going to send it over to our baseball guru, Seamus Lyman, who's going to give you some early Major League Baseball fantasy projections. Seamus, what do you got for us?
Thanks, Sonny. You know, baseball season just around the corner. It's still spring training for a couple more weeks, but fantasy owners need to know who they should draft in 2014. First up, I'm going to start off with the catchers. Coming at number 1, I have Buster Posey of the San Francisco Giants. Last season, he hit .294 with 15 homers, 72 RBIs, and he was the 2012 MVP. He's expected to impress even more in 2014. Brian McCann coming in at number 2. Joining the Bronx Bombers in 2014, McCann ended last season batting .256 with 20 home runs with the Atlanta Braves. Joe Mauer of the Minnesota Twins, he's coming in at number 3. He is making the move to first base for full time, so look for him to improve even more in his games after batting .324 with 35 doubles last season. Replacing McCann with the Braves is Evan Gattis, who comes in at number 4. He hit for 245 with 21 home runs, 65 RBIs. Gattis' numbers only are going to improve with more playing time this season. Finally, Willen Rosario of the Colorado Rockies finished last season with a batting average of .292 with 21 home runs and 79 RBIs. Now, moving over to the first base position, Paul Goldschmidt of Arizona Diamondbacks is my best pick for the spot. Coming off a spectacular 2013 season, he batted .302 with 36 home runs and 125 RBIs. Next up, Prince Fielder, looking to do great things in 2014 with his new team, the Texas Rangers. Coming from the Detroit Tigers, he hit .279 with 25 home runs, 106 RBIs, and a bunch of doubles, 36 to be exact. I'm expecting Fielder to increase his numbers with the Rangers this season in that lineup. Chris Crush Davis from the Baltimore Orioles. What do I have to say? Coming in at number 3, bat 286, 138 RBIs, 42 doubles, and a whopping 53 home runs. Still has a tendency to strike out, though, 199 times to be exact last season. Otherwise, I'd have him ranked higher on this list. Number 4 on my list, Edward Encarnacion from the Toronto Blue Jays. The veteran hit 272, 36 home runs, 104 ribbies, 29 doubles, and he's been consistent over the years. Another Atlanta Brave is coming to my top 5. You guessed it, Freddie Freeman, who batted .319 with 176 hits, 23 homers, 27 doubles, and 109 ribbies. His only problem, just like Davis, is he likes to strike out 121 times in 2013. My last list for this week is going to be the second baseman. The new Seattle Mariner, Robinson Cano, is my number 1 guy here. Can you blame me? .314 average, 27 homers, 107 RBIs, 42 doubles, and the new scenery, I think Cano's going to take his game to a whole new level that we haven't seen before, and expect his run production to increase this season. The Laser Show, Dustin Pedroia of the Boston Red Sox, comes in at a very close second, batting .301 with 193 hits and 84 RBIs. The unofficial captain covers all the bases when it comes to fantasy. Matt Carpenter with St. Louis Cardinals, career high year in 2013, looks to do the same this year. And then, following him up, I have Jason Kipnis of the Cleveland Indians, number 4 guy. He's .284 average in 2013. And my last guy here coming up is going to be Daniel Murphy with the Mets. You know, he's my last guy here for the second base. He's only expected to get even better in 2014. That's all I have for my 2014 fantasy preseason baseball. Back to you, Sonny.
Thanks, Seamus, for that. So obviously a lot of great MLB players. Now we're going to jump into our lightning round with our winners from earlier today. We've got Brian Shanax over here, along with Justin Dizio. And guys, let's just kick it right into it. Quick answers. You know, Jeter, it's his last season. Some argue he's too old. But what does his fantasy draft stock look like right now?
All right, let me take over right here real quick. Derek Jeter's draft stock is low. I was watching an interview on ESPN today. He was already looking forward to November, the season being over. He was mentioning how he's getting into other things like fishing and playing with his family. He's only looking forward to that gold watch as soon as he retires.
Man, you got to hit. His draft stock is going to be high this year. I know he might not statistically have the best season, but you know what? It's his last season as a Yankee, arguably the best Yankee of all time. You know, people are going to want him on their team for that last year in fantasy.
All right, point goes to Brian. Which NBA rook impressed you the most thus far?
Oh, I love Trey Burke for the Utah Jazz. He moves his feet as quick as anyone else in the NBA, and that jumper to follow it up is amazing.
You know, it's got to be Michael Carter-Williams. We talked about him earlier this year. Completely a stat stuffer. He's just been dominating the league.
All right, I hate to cut you off, but that's the end of the program. Brian wins it this week. We'll see you next time here on the Fantasy Factor.
So what sets the Rundown apart from other newscasts is that it brings students together to voice their opinions on the world's most important political issues.
There seems to be just more events going on in 2012 than there were in previous years combined.
This nation is based on the foundation that we choose the government.
Do we use 1, 2, and 3? We work hard to bring you the most up-to-date, relevant coverage of the stories you should be following. The country has now gone over the fiscal cliff.
Is gun control necessary? How much is too much?
Does it surprise you that it's taken this long to have a serious talk about gun control? Students need to realize that this is the time when what's going on in Capitol Hill and around the world starts to affect them.
And really, the fate of the entire country is at hand here.
This is it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go camera 2.
Good evening and welcome to the Rundown. I'm Megan Roberts.
These things we count on every day started as ideas. Ideas from the minds of African Americans. Support minority education today so we don't miss out on the next big idea tomorrow. The United